A very good morning to all dignitaries, guests, and our volunteers. With great joy and immense exultation, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all who are presented here for this event. So, let's begin today's auspicious event with the most benevolent and merciful. So, let's get ready for the prayer.
കർമ്മഭൂമി തളിരിടുന്ന വർണ്ണമേകിയും നമ്മിൽ വാഴുമാദിനാമം ഇന്നും വാഴ്ത്തിടാം ഹൃദയരാഗതന്ത്രി മീട്ടി സ്നേഹഗീതമേകിയും കർമ്മഭൂമി തളിരിടുന്ന വർണ്ണമേകിയും നമ്മിൽ വാഴുമാദിനാമം ഇന്നും വാഴ്ത്തിടാം ഹൃദയരാഗതന്ത്രി മീട്ടി.
Thank you, Akhila and Shilpa. Now, I invite Dr. Siju Casey to give a warm welcome speech.
A very warm good morning to one and all present here. Before I enter into the entrusted duty of welcoming all, let me mention about Vidya Social Empowerment Center. It's a noble initiative of Vidya International Charitable Trust aimed at empowering the essential pillars of the society, categorizing the essential pillars as children, youth, parents, and teachers. We have formed the wings of VSEC as budding, blooming, molding, and training. The services of VSEC are not limited to empowerment programs, motivational sessions, awareness programs, family welfare programs, and so on. The existing social activity programs of Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, which includes science awareness programs, Samiksha, Brahma Vidya, will be functioning together with VSEC. VSEC has begun functioning from January 2021 with the support of faculty, staff, and students of Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, along with the timely advices from our chairman, Dr. Santosh President, Secretary, Mr. Girish Kumar M., Chief Patron Engineer P.K. Ashokan, Executive Committee Member Mr. Tilagan K.K., Executive Director Mr. Suresh Lal, Non-Academic Director Mr. P.N. Unirajan Sir, and our Principal Dr. Saji C.B. We have now entered into the second year of its functioning, and I'm proudly happy to lead the VSEC with a strong battalion of 12 faculty members from various departments and student volunteers. Now entering into my interested duty, I'm extremely delighted to welcome our speaker of today's session, Dr. Seena Devaki, consultant and psychiatrist, for accepting our invitation to deliver a talk on the topic mentoring the mentors, a topic which is the need of the hour. I strongly believe that the session would be worth your precious time. Welcome you, ma'am. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome our Chief Patron Engineer P.K. Ashokan, one of the strongest pillar of strength of Vidya family. Welcome you, sir. I'm extremely pleased to welcome the president of the function, our beloved principal, Dr. Saji C.B. Welcome you, sir. I'm thoroughly pleased to welcome our executive director, Mr. Suresh Lal. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome our executive committee member, Mr. Tilagan KK, non-academic director, Mr. P.N. Unirajan Sir, IPS, heads of departments, and VSEC student volunteers, faculty members and VSEC student volunteers. I'm extremely overwhelmed to welcome the teachers, principals, and vice principals from various schools who have found their precious time from their busy schedule to attend the program offline. Once again, with immense pressure, I welcome each one of you to the session. Enjoy a happy, interactive listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a warm welcome. Now, on behalf of the organizing committee, I request our principal, Dr. Saji CB, to deliver the presidential address.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Patron Engineer P.K. Ashokan, our guest and resource person for the day, Dr. Seena Devki, consultant psychiatrist, our executive director, Mr. Suresh Lal, our director administration, Mr. Unirajan, IPS, retired, Shri K.K. Thilagan, executive committee member, VSEC, faculty members, principals, vice principals from different schools who are reached here to grace this occasion and be part of this function. Members of VSEC, Dr. Siju and her team, my dear members of Vidya family. This is a very special day as far as Vidya is concerned. Special because this program, this interaction with the mentors who are going to mold youngsters for the future. We consider at Vidya as our responsibility to enable every mentor appropriately so that we are able to face the challenges of the current days, which is much, much more than what we even thought of. Mankind never thought of this kind of a pandemic will come out, which will keep our students or the young generation within home for almost 2 years. Even otherwise, the energy of individuals to channelize it appropriately, we always thought it is teachers as mentors can only help the world to be so beautiful, which we want, the way we want to be. As rightly said by Dr. Siju in her welcome speech, Vidya's vision always has been, we had an academic social responsibility. What differentiates Vidya from others, we proudly believe that this social responsibility of ours. We always felt that the basic mentoring has to happen and is happening from the schools. And that is why we always are passionate and we love to meet the school teachers, thanks to all members from the schools who are visiting us. We know the challenges that the school teachers at the schools they face, and we are only supporting those students who are coming to this institution or any institution of higher education. So on this angle, especially because teachers and principals used to interact with us and say the difficulties that we are facing due to the special scenario, special times that has developed, the pandemic. So mentoring becomes more and more relevant, important, and very, very critical nowadays. even in our Puranas, if you see, I'll only take 2 examples and then I'll conclude. In the Kurukshetra, Arjun said, I cannot fight anymore because I'm seeing so many relatives of me in front of them. But still, the war was won by Pandavas. Both Kauravas and Pandavas were equally competent in all their abilities. They were trained by the same Dronacharya. If you take individual capacities of people, maybe Kauravas add 1 + 1 + 1 + 200, 101, they are much more stronger than Pandavas if you add in that manner. But what made them fail? Or what made Pandavas to succeed? Because Pandavas had a mentor called Krishna. Krishna said, Arjun, wake up, Arjun, your duty, do your duty. And Pandavas won. A mentor was there. Similar example you will see, Hanuman was worried. He could not see, Lanka is far away. There's a big sea in front of him. He said, no, I cannot move to Lanka. There's a big sea in front of me. But then came Jambavan, the mentor. He said, Hanuman, know your strength. What you have done earlier, you have jumped to the sun once. Why don't you realize your strength and jump? Do it. Hanuman jumped off the sea and went to Sri Lanka. Did his duties. These 2 mentors, if you see, mentor number 1, Lord Krishna, Arjun had no doubt about his capabilities. He was capable, he knew he is capable, but he was not able to perform because of some other mental stresses. So the mentor's duty there was to remove the mental stress from Arjuna and make him perform. Hanuman, but he had no mental stress in that aspect. He was not aware about his own capabilities. He was capable, but he was not aware about his capabilities. The mentor said, know your strength. Teachers, this is our role as a mentor. These 2 are the examples we should look into when we are motivating, training our students. And I hope this session today, we fortunately had an excellent, I also watched a few of our sessions in the YouTube, which is available. We are fortunate to have Dr. Sina Devki with us to interact. And let me, as a principal, also extend my heartfelt appreciation and thanks for you joining us today. And I wish all of you all the very best. Please interact, be open, and to all the teachers and faculty members who came from other institutions, it's our promise. We are open at any point of time for any kind of support, interactions in future as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your informative words. Now, I welcome our Chief Patron of VSEC, Engineer P.K. Ashokan, to address the gathering and to introduce the speaker of the day. So, please.
Good morning to all of you. I am very, very happy that it's not only the faculty and students of this institution, but also from the outside, from those schools, the teachers are also attending, joining us. It shows, our social commitment is really working, or it's fruitful connectivity is being established. My main job is to introduce Dr. Sina Devgi, who will be making the presentation today or conducting an interactive session today on mentoring the mentees. Dr. Sina has been brought up in Mumbai, and Dr. Sina had her basic education in a school and medical colleges in Mumbai. She has been an outstanding student. She got admission to the most prestigious institution of Mumbai for MBBS and thereafter for MD. She has completed MD and then went to UK to take the fellowship, MRC in psychiatry. Thereafter, she has done further study, then taken specialization in pediatric and adolescents psychiatry, and has been working in the field with the children aging up to 17 years for the last 30 years. More than the professional success or academic excellence, what I notice in Dr. Sina is her social commitment. It is not merely generated by her and herself. It has been inherited from her forefathers. Her grandfather was well known to the elder generation of Kerala, T.K. Kunyayappa Master, who was so courageous to refuse the invitation to be a minister in the Pattandanipula ministry immediately after, because he was stick on to his ideology. He's been a great social worker in Trichy. His son, Baburaj, has been in Bombay, and he lived in Bombay for 60 years. And then one would be a single Malayali who doesn't know T.K. Baburaj, and most of them might have received his support in one way or other. Therefore, Dr. Sina belongs to a global family, and Vidya is also a family, big family. Therefore, I was tempted to invite and connect Dr. Sina, who is well connected globally, to Vidya family. Vidya family consists of trustees, faculty, students, and the members of the society. It also is a well-rooted family. It's our responsibility to expand our connectivity to more areas. That's why we have organized a special unit with the Social Empowerment Center, so that the facilities and services that are available in Vidya is made aware to those schools and made use of for the growth of the children at schools. And all present here are social workers and socially committed, and they know what's the culture of Vidya. Thank you very much, and I wish all success for today's event. And few more things. It is not only the social talents or social commitment that Dr. Sina, she's a good artist in drawing, painting, and also in writing. And she's a good gardener. Her passion is great. Wherever she goes, she enjoys the nature and blend with the nature. And her paintings were, exhibited and auctioned, and the money got from that was given for charity. And I wish and request the next auction amount will come to Vidya students from her paintings and drawings. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite our Executive Director, Mr. Suresh Lal, to give his valuable inputs.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this program on behalf of Vidya International Charitable Trust. We are fortunate to have Dr. Sina here today to interact with us. So let us utilize this rare opportunity, and to make it more effective and productive, please ask questions, so that we all can learn more about these things. I wish all success to this program today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now let's invite the limelight of this session, who barely needs any introduction, Dr. Sina Devagi, consultant psychiatrist.
How do I start the program? കുഴപ്പമില്ല വേണമെങ്കിൽ ചോദിക്കാം ഞാൻ. Oh, is this the way the slide comes? Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. It's my privilege to be with you people. Yeah. You can hear me at the back, can't you? This is the title for today, Mentoring the Mentors, and it's a very, very broad topic. Let me see how much justice I can do to it. You know who these are in the picture, don't you? This old person is Socrates, and this is Plato. So I've just put this picture to show that mentoring goes back a long, long, long way. Yeah. I know Ashokan sir has introduced me to all of you, but let me briefly introduce myself. He's praised me to the skies, and I'm very uncomfortable with praises. I'll quickly. Yeah. Can people hear me now? Yeah. Ashokan sir has already said, hasn't he, that I was born and bred in Mumbai. My parents are from Thrissur. I went to GS Medical College for my post-graduation and undergraduation, and then went to England. I've been in England 27. That's an old slide, so it's 25, but it's 27 years now. More than half of my life, I have been in England. I'm a consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist, which means I look after children up to the age of 18. My age group is 0 to 18. And being a creature of light, my hobbies are all light related: painting, gardening, stitching, knitting, embroidery, and that's one of my self-portraits I've put to show off. And the hopes for today's session is to seed a few ideas, just to plant a few ideas, that's all, and to have an interactive session, and in the hope that we will mutually enrich each other. I might learn a thing or two from you guys. A few ground rules. If you haven't understood, please do ask. Yeah, I don't have horns, I don't bite, so please do ask. Please feel free to ask. And instead of a didactic session, if you guys want a Q&A, a question and answer, I can stop the PowerPoint and switch to Q&A if you want it, but I've prepared a few slides for today's session. And what I have done is, it's a huge topic. Mentoring is a huge, huge topic. What I have done is I've just put a few concepts as the slides, and they are general concepts. There will always be exceptions, always. We live in a world and life doesn't always go like planned. And we are not talking of mathematics here where 2 + 2 always adds up to 4. So what I'm trying to say is there will always be exceptions to whatever concepts I put across. And one glove fits all does not exist. There is no universal formula for anything. Now, what is mentoring? If you look at what is mentoring, if you go on the net and search, there are so many different definitions of mentoring, all sorts. People say it's about inspiring a person, it's about guidance, it's about teaching, it's about goal setting, lots of coaching. All these words are thrown out there. I will tell you what I feel what mentoring is. By the end of the session, you will know what I think what mentoring is. Basically, the bottom line is there is no consensus on the definition of mentoring. For different people, it's different things. As long as the person you're mentoring grows, that you have mentored the mentee. Yeah, so there is no consensus definition, and each of us look at mentors in different ways, and mentors, what to say, inspire or coach or help the mentees in different ways. This is a concept I wanted to introduce because you work with children from the age of 12 onwards, isn't it? 8th standard, so 12 onwards. So they are in the period of adolescence. They are on the threshold of adolescence. So I wanted to introduce the concept of neuroplasticity. In simple language, it simply means the brain continues to learn and grow. Yeah, even our brains grow till our death. The brain has the capacity to form new neuronal connections and new wiring. The wiring of the brain can be changed. New connections and new synapses can be formed. The reason I'm talking about neuroplasticity is because you've read that bit, haven't you? The brain continually reorganizes itself by forming new neural connections all through life, from birth till death. But there is something called the critical period. The critical period, there are 2 critical periods in life. One is 0 to 5, babyhood, after the child is born till 5 years of age. And the second critical period is adolescence, when hormones are changing, the person is changing, body is changing, brain is changing. So there are 2 critical periods. So you people have the fortune of influencing impressionable teenagers from 8th standard onwards. They are at the right stage in their life to be. So this slide I have put just to show the critical period. Strike while the iron is hot. It's the right time. They are at their impressionable stage, adolescence, body is changing, mind is changing, hormones are changing, brain is changing. That's a good time to help them. And when you look at a child for mentoring, we need to have a holistic picture. We don't want to be like the blind men who see the elephant in one single way, using one single framework. I work with children from 0 to 18. And when I come across children, I'm not a person, though medics, I'm a medic, I'm a psychiatrist, and we are expected to diagnose. But I prefer formulation instead of diagnosis, because diagnosis is very reductionist, whereas formulation is very holistic. Yeah. So for diagnosis, I feel I see the whole child along with the family and the context and the support network. I see the complete child, not just a diagnosis. I don't see a child as a depressed child or an ADHD child or a child with schizophrenia or psychosis, or those are the kind of cases which come to me: bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, OCD, depression, ADHD, autism. But I'm not looking only at the diagnosis, I'm looking at the whole context that the child is in. So what I'm trying to say is, when you look at a child, look at the whole child with the family and with the context, with the school, with the surrounding, with the support network that they are in. And we shouldn't be like the blind men who went to see the elephant. We need to have a holistic picture. You guys know about this, don't you? The Maslow's hierarchy. I'm sure you already have seen this Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
You know it? Yeah. I'll explain it to you for people who don't know. This bottom one is the physiological needs, food, water. Yeah, these are the physiological needs, these are the security needs. Most of the children which we are looking after are disadvantaged children from disadvantaged families. So these may be difficult for them. I'm not sure. But most often the bottom needs are met. The basic roti kapda or makan, like what's this? So how do you put this label, Mike? Yeah, how? Can people hear me? Yeah. Okay, where was I? The Maslow's, this is called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It simply means it starts from the bottom, our needs. So our aim in life is to reach here, self-actualization, fulfill our best potential. It's applicable not just to children, it's applicable to each one of us. Each one of us should be striving in our life to self-actualize and self-transcend. So, so these bottom needs, the physiological needs and the safety needs, security, food, water, if all those are met, then comes belongingness, love, self-esteem, self-actualization. So each one of us are on the same journey, whether we know it or not. We are on the same journey. So when we look at children, we ought to help them to fulfill their best potential, whatever their best potential is. Has it made sense? The whole room is quiet. Has this Maslow's hierarchy of needs made sense? Yeah. Okay. This is a Salvador Dali quote. He was a Spanish painter, and that's one of his paintings called Persistence of Memory. And what he says is, at the age of 6, I wanted to be a cook. At 7, I wanted to be Napoleon. My ambition stopped when I became Dali. The reason I put this quote is, Dali's ambition stopped when he became Dali. So each one of us has to become the best person we are capable of being. The best person we are capable of being. We are not competing with anybody else. The best person we are capable of being. So this quote is just to highlight the previous Maslow's hierarchy of needs and self-actualization. Multiple intelligences. The reason I put this slide in is because our school system is generally geared towards assessing mathematical intelligence or linguistic intelligence. Generally, science and maths are favored over all other subjects. I just wanted to put this to show that there are different kinds of intelligences, and a person who does not do well at school does not necessarily have a bad future. They may be good at other things. So there will be other things you can sort of fan or encourage in a child. I know the students which we select here are students who have got more than 80% and above. So they will be clever students who are academically bright, and they will be good mathematically and linguistically. But just to keep in mind that there are many kinds of intelligence which also need to be fanned or cultivated or encouraged. And similarly, there are multiple styles of learning. So when you are mentoring students, you have to remember that if they don't know, if they know how to study properly, because sometimes it's not to do with ability, it's to do with the way they study. They have the ability, they have the intelligence, but they don't have good study methods. You know, there are many things which help with good achievement: ability, good study methods, and motivation. So if they don't have good study methods, you can help them in getting good study methods depending on their way of studying. Some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, some people read and make bullet points and have books in which they put bullet points, and that way they learn. Some people move about, walk about and learn. You've seen those kind of people, don't they? They keep moving in the room and learning. Some people like to see YouTube videos or whatever. So there are different kinds of learning. So whichever is the best method for them to learn, they need to capitalize on that. That's a painting which I have done. I'm showing off, I told you. This is a quote by this person, Antoine Saint-Exupéry, who is a French writer, and he's most known for his little novella called The Little Prince, a small novella. called The Little Prince. So if you read that, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. What this means is, when a child is intrinsically motivated, when the motivation comes from inside, their output is best. Instead of teachers telling or parents telling study or work for the exam, if the parents are nagging them or the teachers are nagging them and they're studying for that, it doesn't work. When the motivation is intrinsic, the the outcome is best or their performance is best if they're intrinsically motivated. So inspiration is very important rather than instruction. Yeah. I'm not using any fancy terms. Customize. What I'm trying to say here is, there is no, see, each of you, I'm assuming that you guys are mentors in this room, aren't you? So you all will have separate styles. You bring your own individuality into your mentoring. I don't think Ashokan sir's style of mentoring and Dr. Saji's style of mentoring or Dr. Siju's style of mentoring will be same. You bring your own personality into mentoring, so it will be customized. There is no doubt about it. So you can't standardize mentoring. I don't think you can standardize because you bring your personality into mentoring. So I will not be able to offer a procedural recipe for mentoring. Each will have your own personal style. And every encounter with a child or any person, any human being, any encounter has got small and large spontaneously generated responses which cannot be programmed in advance. Now, I came here to teach. I cannot program everything that's going to happen in the session. It's going to be interactive and it will evolve the way. I have no idea how it's going to go. So everything can't be programmed in advance. There are so many things which are spontaneous and on the spot. You think on the spot and respond accordingly. And this sort of summarizes it. This last one summarizes what I'm trying to say. One needs technique to learn to play the piano, but if one is to make music, one must transcend learned technique. What I'm trying to say in this is, how much ever you learn theory, at the end of the day, intuition is more important. I'm a person who has been working with children for 20 odd years. And when I was a junior doctor, I used to follow a checklist in my head, tick box, tick box, tick box. I had a little checklist, what questions I had to ask the child or the family. Now I don't follow any checklist. It's very intuitive for me. It's become internalized for me. When I'm in a situation with a child or family, I go along with what they bring. There are times when I sit down on the floor and play noughts and crosses with them or talk about Minecraft or whatever. You cannot program in advance what you're going to do. You have it in your head. When people see me interacting with a child, they think I'm having a chit chat. It's not a chit chat. It is not chatting. I am trying to assess. So what I'm trying to say is, now I'm not like a junior medical student who is going through a checklist of questions in my head. It's a very, very intuitive process. So that happens with time. It gets internalized. This, don't bother about the fancy terms at the top, concept of equifinality and everything. Don't bother about that. What it means in common parlance, in layman's terms, what it means is there are many routes to the same destination. There are many ways of skinning the cat, or there are many routes to the, all roads lead to Rome, or something like that. Many ways of skinning the cat. Now, if you look at S, this is the starting point, S, and this is the destination. So Ashokan sir might take a shorter route, Dr. Siju may take this route, and Dr. Saji may take this route. What I'm trying to say is, there are different ways of reaching the destination. There's not one single way. So just remember that if someone else is doing a different style, it doesn't matter as long as the outcome is there and the child is moving on and growing. This I'm not going through. Are you all with me still? Is there any concept which you haven't understood? Because I'm not And you people have put masks on your faces, so I can't read your faces at all. So feedback, when you give feedback, we use the sandwich method while giving feedback. Whatever is difficult, you put in the middle. You say something nice, you put the difficult bit, the bitter pill which they have to swallow, and the nice bit again. So we use the sandwich method because we always validate them and give some positives, then the bit which is difficult, and then again a positive. So we sandwich the criticism. And criticism is also not harsh or punitive, it is constructive criticism. So if you want to give feedback to your mentees, your students, or your children, do it in a way that it's not harsh and punitive. They are not crushed by it. And children are very, very sensitive to criticism. So try to sandwich it and sort of sugarcoat the bitter pill. That's again a painting which I have done. Reciprocal disclosure. What I mean by this is when we talk about ourselves, we get them to talk about themselves. You know, sometimes when you are engaging children, reciprocal disclosure. When I see, I have got children with depression who I work with, and I give stories about my relatives or my friends, and that loosens them up. So in a way, it breaks the ice. So when I talk of reciprocal disclosure, I'm not talking about my whole life history. I'm just talking about what is needed in order to get them to open up. So our disclosure begets their disclosure. So you don't have to be opaque and hidden. It's okay to talk about yourself, but remember the boundaries, how much you can disclose and how much not to. They are not your best friends or anything, the children. You are the mentors. So exercise discretion. Don't be completely indiscreet about what you tell them. And it's not disclosure is not a complete no-no. It's counterproductive to remain opaque and hidden. I do feel it's counterproductive to remain opaque and hidden. It's okay to talk a little bit about yourself, and just as much as is needed. It has to pass the test. Is this about the child or is this about me? Am I offloading on them, or am I telling them just enough to get them to disclose? Don't be so overcautious and self-protective that you lose your effectiveness. I hope you've understood what I'm trying to say in this. Managing expectations. The reason I put this slide in is because in one of the conversations I had with Ashokan sir about the mentoring program, I think there was an anecdote which he told me about one of the mentors who was asked by the mentee, by the student, to bring mobile phones from Gulf and bring whatever. They were keeping on asking more and more gifts, like they know that the opposite person can afford. So it doesn't stop. That kind of a thing. So they asked for mobile phone, then they asked for something else, and they asked for something else. So you've got to be very careful about, it's a tightrope walk as to how much you have to, give materialistically to the child. I'm not going to say what not to do and what to do. I think you will be, you'll understand how much to indulge the child. And managing expectation is managing expectations of the family, the teachers, and the child. Realistic expectations they need to have, not unrealistic expectations of what a mentor does. This is a very, very important thing when I work with children. I work with disadvantaged families, marginalized families, defeated, crushed, traumatized families. And when they walk through the door, they have already been messed about by the system, you know. The system is very, invalidating. And when they come through the door, sometimes they just want to pour out their story. Everything else happens later. So I give them the chance to talk about whatever has happened. Sometimes it's just an offload. Sometimes it's just a rant. Sometimes they have to express their anger and frustration about what has happened in the past. And sometimes what I have, the agenda which I have, may not be what's happening in the session. I have to go along with what they bring. And if they walk out of the door with hope, half the battle is won. I've done my job well. So hope is very important for the families that I work with. So I think for your children also, they come from sort of disadvantaged families, and you're teaching them to dream big about a career and a future, which otherwise they may not have been able to dream about. So the picture there is from Charlie Mackesie's book. That's a very nice quote. There are dark clouds, said the boy. Yes, but they will move on, said the horse. The blue sky never leaves. The dark clouds will go, but the blue sky never leaves. It is important to get trust from the child. You know, I have done this presentation for a different audience, for the same group, like and one of the things which the audience told me was the children sometimes don't open up. They don't talk to you about their problems. How much ever we try, they don't talk, they don't open up. I personally feel that you should go from the periphery to the center. When you're talking, talk of general things, whatever. I don't know what. In UK, we talk about football or Game of Thrones or whatever. Tyrion Lannister, they are surprised when I talk about Game of Thrones and whatever, football or Minecraft or FIFA, football games, and what are the other games, the geeky games, League of Legends and all those kind of things. I get to learn about these from them. But I have, in order to enter their world, I have educated myself about these things. So I talk to them about the kind of games or the kind of books that they read. So I personally feel if you've got to engage with a young person, start from the periphery and then move to the center. Don't go straight for the jugular. If you ask very difficult topics, they close down, their defenses come up, their guards come up, and they won't open up. So go from the talk of general things to begin with. You can get to assess a person a lot just by having a normal conversation about normal things. You can. So build their trust and then move on, you know, otherwise it's difficult. This was one of the things which was mentioned to me in my previous lecture, that they don't open up to us, they don't talk to us. So just don't go with all guns blazing, don't be too heavy, just have a gentle approach and go from the sides to the center. I hope it has made sense. And trust is very important. It's half the battle won if they trust you. And everybody with me still? Yeah. Sometimes when you ask a person, are you okay? They say they are fine when they are not fine. Yeah. And this slide I have put in, analogic versus digital. Now, analogic is non-verbal communication, non-verbal in the sense body language, and digital is verbal communication, what we talk. Yeah. And most of the communication is analogic or non-verbal. So even if a person is saying, are you okay? And they're saying, I'm fine. If they are not fine, the body language is incongruent, or the body language reveals what the actual state of mind is. So has that made sense? There are studies which say 80% of communication is body language and 20% is verbal, or 90% and 10%, or 93 and 7. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's 80, 20, 90, 10. It doesn't matter. What matters is most of the communication is body language and very small communication is verbal. So you can pick up cues, even if a young person, if a child is telling I'm fine, you can pick up cues if they are not fine. The body language does not lie. It'll reveal what the actual state is. So has this made sense, that communication is largely body language and non-verbal, and you don't have to remember the analogic or digital. You just remember non-verbal and verbal. That's easier. Now, if you look at this statement, it says behind every young child is a person who believes in the child, a parent. Now you can change the parent to mentor and it's still applicable. Yeah. Even if you change the word parent to mentor, it still applies, still holds. So validation is very important. And when they look up to a person, when they have a person in high regard, validation from that person is hugely affirmative, affirming. It can work wonders, that kind of validation. And don't be stingy. Be generous with your compliments and praises. And beware of empty compliments, because it doesn't ring true. They can get it. Just now I talked about analogic and digital communication, didn't I? Your body language will show that you're being false. So be genuine, and it is helpful for them. Don't be stingy with your praises. And acceptance from someone who the children look up to is hugely affirming. Relationship. Do I need to talk about this? Yeah. When we work with children, the most important thing is the relationship between the child and the doctor or the psychologist or the psychiatrist. The most important. whatever kind of therapy you do. I talked about the concept of equifinality, didn't I? Many routes to the same destination. Whether my colleague is doing Freudian work or Kleinian work or CBT or whatever therapy they are using, I use my own brand of therapy. I use Sina's brand of therapy, and it works because my children move on. What I'm saying is most important is the connection with the child. If you are connected with the child, you can effect change. Otherwise, you can't effect change. It's a non-starter. You won't go anywhere if you don't connect with the child. So the most important thing is the relationship. We call it the therapeutic relationship or the working relationship. And that's very important. I'm bringing the concepts of my work into mentoring. That's what I'm doing now. So it's very, very important to connect. It's not an end in itself, but it's a means to an end, and nothing merits the sacrifice of an authentic human encounter. When I say authentic, genuineness, they understand. They suss you out, or they analyze you before you have analyzed them. They will understand you even before you have understood them. So they understand. Even little babies understand. Even animals, dogs and cats can understand. They're intuitive. So if you're genuine, they will get it. You can effect change only if the relationship is good. I've already said that, haven't I? Should we have an interactive session? I don't want. There's a lull in the whole group. Anybody wants to ask anything up until now, whatever has happened, whatever I've said? Or, yeah, go on.
Talk about critical period.
Critical period.
Critical period. Is there any critical period later?
I talked about neuroplasticity, which is there all through life. It's all through life. Even my brain is changing, even your brain is changing. Even now we can put forth new neuronal connection. But critical period is the time when the brain growth is maximum. So answering your question, there is no critical period, but brain continues to grow. So it's not the end. It can still change.
So
yeah.
that's
Otherwise, I shouldn't be doing my work, isn't it? The work which I do. So yeah.
Then one more intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
So how to keep it alive?
How to keep it alive? You have somebody in mind when you're asking me this question? Who had it and who's lost it?
Spirit or intrinsic motivation alive consistently. No,
Give me
it's
an
always on and off state.
As long as you come back on track, it's fine, isn't it? See, life never goes like a straight line. Life goes like this.
Yes.
It is never like a straight line. So there may be off days.
So it's okay. Off stage is
as
okay.
long as you come back on track, as
Okay.
long as you don't give it up forever, it's okay, isn't it? Some days you're not in the mood to do it.
Okay.
You're human.
Okay.
Yeah. So as long as it's 4 steps forward and 2 steps back, it's fine. As long as it's not the other way around, 2 steps forward and 4 steps back.
Yeah, if it is there, that 2 steps forward and 4 steps backward.
Yeah, that you need to change.
Change.
Yeah. As long as you're on track and you're moving forth, even if it's small increments, it's fine. And there will be days when you won't feel like doing it,
Okay.
or some off days. It's like a person when they're learning horse riding, and when they fall off the horse, if they give up, they'll never learn riding. But they come back on the horse and again learn. So for anything,
It's
Yeah.
okay. Be there and off stage for some time.
keep going.
Quick. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Yeah, go on.
Restriction for that entering.
You're talking of boundaries, aren't you? Yeah.
For example, yes, if after mentoring, we understood that this is not his field.
This is not?
His field. Like after mentoring, we came to a conclusion that at least a mentor came to a conclusion that he's not interested in this field.
Mm.
So just like that sandwich method, whether we have to give him that sandwich method or like in Malayalam it is like so whether we have to tell the Tumbi to Kalli Naladana, Kalli Adhika Tumbi Tilla,
You expand it a bit more without telling the name of the child. You tell me what the context is. This child is not interested in a certain field,
yeah.
But you think the child is capable of doing it. No, you. Pinna tum endine kalledupikkunna? You mean to say the child does not have insight? ആ കുട്ടിക്ക് അറിയില്ല അത് capable അല്ലാന്ന്. But you know it. And it's a harsh bitter pill for it to swallow. Okay, and you.
That's why we are using the sandwich method. Like
Yeah.
we are not
Yeah, you can gently let them know and check out what the strengths are. If you feel that is not the child's strength and something else is a strength, then you can suggest in a gentle way. ഇത് ചെയ്തുകൂടാ, ഇതായിരിക്കും better. You seem to be very good. You seem to be very good at it.
No, actually, in mentoring, whether we have to give that to student or.
See, you are a well-wisher of the child. You're a well-wisher of the child. If you can put yourself in that position, if you were in that position many years ago and you had somebody mentoring, what would you have liked? If I had been in that position and I was useless at something, I would have liked somebody to tell me you're useless at it. I would have liked honesty.
ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കില്ല ഫൈനലി അവരുടെ ഒരു എയിമോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിലേക്ക് എത്താത്തതാണെങ്കിലോ.
എന്നാലും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാത്ത കാര്യം അവരോട് പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കണ്ടേ? ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കാര്യം അവർ ചൂസ് ചെയ്തോട്ടെ. ബട്ട് വാട്ട് യു ആർ സേയിങ് ഈസ് ആ ഒരു ഏരിയയിൽ അവർക്ക് കേപ്പബിലിറ്റി ഇല്ല. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വാട്ട് യു ആർ ടെല്ലിംഗ് മീ. No, you need to let them know that's their blind spot. I'll come to that later. There's a slide called the Johari window. That's a blind spot. We all have blind spots. നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും നമ്മളെ പറ്റി തന്നെ അറിയാത്ത ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ കാണും വേറെ ആൾക്കാർ കാണുന്നത്. So that's called the blind spot. If they have a blind spot, you need to let them know. It has to be uncovered in a nice way. And if they have strengths, you have identified the strengths, then let them know these are the areas you're good at. I'm not a career counselor. I'm a psychiatrist. I give medication. I'm a pill pusher. I'm a shrink. I give medication to children, but just because I've got the title of a psychiatrist, I become an agony aunt for people. People come with any problem, boyfriend, girlfriend, anything. So that is not what a psychiatrist does. I give medication for depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, OCD, autism. That is what I do. But just because you're a psychiatrist, everybody pours out, and I'm doing career counseling, I'm doing relationship problems, marital problems, anything, you know. So coming back to your question, you can gently tell them that these are your strengths, and if the relationship is good, they will take it. What your fear is, I think, is if you put them on a certain path and they go there, they'll say you were the person who put me on this path, and they may blame you. Is that your fear?
Yeah, they have to realize their path.
Yeah. You don't only suggest it.
So is there any restriction for mentor to enter the life of a mentee? Is there any
limitation? Boundaries. Yeah, I know what you're telling me. Your fear is, what if they go down that path and then turn back and say you put me on a different path? So it has to come from within so that they don't blame you. At least do one thing. If the person is not capable of something and is not good at something, at least that person needs to know. The blind spot you need to expose. What they need to choose, have conversation with them and let them choose it, rather than you should not be prescriptive. You just allow them to come to the realization through conversations. Yeah, we have, did you get me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? That was a good question, okay, about boundaries. Everybody struggles with where does the boundary lie? Yeah. Shall I move on? This, I have said, it takes a village to raise a child. It's an African proverb. And just to let you know that the child is in a system around it. So there's an immediate system of the family, then the school, and a broader network. So try to get all the support networks in the child, established. You're not the only person, you know. All eggs in one basket should not be there. If it's all eggs in one basket, it becomes hard for you. It becomes too much, too intense. It may be hard for you if the child depends on you for everything. So in order to ease your lives, in order to make it easy for you, I'm trying to say, try to create a support network around the child and let it not be, you should have a good relationship, but not so intense that in the middle of the night, the child is calling you at 3 a.m. in the morning. The child is, I have had those kind of instances where I have had to set boundaries because they'll call me at any time. And because of the time zone difference between India and UK, I get called at 4 a.m. in the morning and 3 a.m. in the morning. So you need to put those kind of boundaries and see to it that you're not the only person the child confides in. All eggs in one basket, and if it crashes, it's all gone. So let it be divided, like we call diversification of funds. When we invest money, financial advisors ask you to diversify the funds so that the risk is divided. So that kind of a thing. This is the ripple effect. when Ashokan sir was talking about connectivity, he used this buzzword connectivity many times. Connectivity, connectivity, connectivity. How we make an influence on other people. Ripple effect is very simple. You know what a ripple is. So through me, if I have rippled through you outside, if you guys are going to mentor children, and anything, any little bit which I have told today goes through you to the child, I have rippled through you to the child. I'm rippling through you to other people. So we never are interacting with just one person alone. Through that person, we are moving on to other people. Has this concept made sense? So we have immense power and influence when we are dealing with children and with anybody around us, not just children. The change which starts within you and travels outward in circles of influence. I hope this has made sense. If it hasn't, ask me at the end and I'll try to explain again. This simply means that if you're making an intervention, I don't know your name, but if you're making an intervention here with a child, and if this is the time, if the x-axis and y-axis, this is the time and this is the message, if you measure in 2 months time or 3 months time, the difference is very little. But if you measure 10 years down the line, you know what I'm trying to say. When I am meeting a child and making planting a seed in their minds, and that life trajectory, they have a trajectory of their life. If the life trajectory shifted slightly, shifted, in 2 or 3 months time, I may not be able to measure the outcome. If they were going like this in their life, and I came in their life here, and the life was going like this, and it has shifted like slightly. In 2 months' time, the difference is little, but in 10 years' time, the difference is a lot. So I don't want you to feel you have failed. The seeds will be there in their mind. It may sprout some other time. There may be a latent period. It may lead to fruition later on. So don't feel disheartened or disillusioned that you're not making an effect at all. It is there somewhere it is there. It'll grow. It'll make a difference, and you may be able to measure the outcome only many years down the line. And the kind of work we do, the outcome is not easily measurable. It's not tangible. It's very intangible, the work which we do. But I do believe I make a difference. I do believe I make a difference because the children move on. And I don't look at the children only as depression or anxiety. I try to bring out their best potential, whatever it is, studies or whatever. So I'm not just giving them a antidepressant fluoxetine script and telling them to go. It's not. As time goes on, the initially unconvincing message becomes more persuasive. So that's the sleeper effect. So what I'm trying to say is, don't feel disheartened. This is something which the next slide explains it. It sounds tortuous, a mouthful, but it's easy to understand. The next slide will make it more clear. Unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know. That's lack of insight. Ulkalcha. You have no insight. You don't know that you don't know. Conscious competence is you know that you know. That is, no, the first one is ignorance, lack of insight. The second one is you know that you don't know. That is insight, Ulkalcha. The first one is ignorance. The third one, conscious competence, is knowledge. You know that you know. And the third one is wisdom, unconscious competence. You don't even know that you know. It's so internalized. It's become second nature to you that it's become part of you. You're not even aware of it. It's like driving the car, you know, you're not thinking of the pedestrians or the steering or the mirror or anything. It's so automatic. It's part of you that you can even talk to the passenger next to you. That's unconscious competence. Has this concept made sense? Yeah. So shall I move on? The reason I have said this, you people are in very challenging roles. Being a mentor is not easy. It's a challenging role. You're trying to bring out the best in the child. So I look after children. I've got more than 120 children. I always call them my children. So I have more than 120 on my case list. Yeah. So it is very important for me to look after myself in order to look after them. If I'm not looking after myself, I'm not a surgeon. I'm not an operating surgeon. I don't have scalpels and knives to operate a tumor. I am the instrument of change. It is through me. I am the vessel. And it is through me that the children change. So if I don't look after myself, it is not possible for me to look after them. So it's very important all of you look after yourself. You're all so full in yourself that you're able to give. Otherwise, there's nothing to give. If you're depleted, if you're emotionally depleted, you have nothing to offer. You have nothing to give. It's like, you know, in the aircraft, they talk about putting the mask first before you save another person. In every aircraft, in every flight, the flight attendant comes and tells you, gives you all those safety instructions saying you first put your mask and then try to oxygen mask and then try to save somebody else. It's like that. You try to look after yourself first in order to look after other people. I don't know how many of you have watched this film, Forrest Gump. It's a 1994 Oscar winner. This I've just put because it's about goals. Yeah. This is the little Forrest Gump asking his mother, what is my destiny? And the mother says, you've got to figure it out yourself. Answering your question, you are talking about how the young person has to figure it out himself. Because otherwise, if you're very prescriptive and pushing them into one field, it may work. It may very well work. But if it doesn't work, you may get blamed. We don't have a crystal ball. You may do it in good faith. You may do it with good intention, but it may go, it's possible. So it's best that they figure it out themselves so that they never blame you. This is what I was talking to you about the blind spot. It is very self-explanatory, this thing. This applies to all of us, you know. This is the, what is your name? Anil. So this is the self which you know about yourself and other people know about Anil. This is your open self. Yeah. And this is the hidden self. You may have secrets, which is fair enough. Having secrets is not a problem. This is the hidden self or the secret self. You know, but others don't know. This is the blind spot, which we can see in you, but you can't see in yourself. That's the blind spot. This is for Freud to analyze. This is the unconscious or the subconscious. That's very hard, and it's years and years and years and years of work. So this is the quadrant which we should try to reduce. This quadrant, the blind spot, this is the quadrant out of, these are not so neatly same shape and same size. It will be different sizes and different shapes, but this is what each one of us needs to decrease. We all have to have so much of self-awareness that we don't have any blind spots. This is just about capitalizing on their strengths. You were talking about how the child whom you're working with is not aware that he or she is not good at whatever they want to do. So when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It simply means work on your strengths rather than your weaknesses, whatever you're good at and whatever you're. Which is the slide? I'm nearing the end of my presentation. You've got to go, that's fine, yeah. Do we have time? Have I overrun? Do we have time? Yeah, it's just a few more slides. Own your journey, be the writers or authors of your own script. This simply means every person should have their own narrative rather than following somebody else's narrative. When we have the courage to walk into our story and own it, we get to write the ending. Questions? Yeah. Finished. The last slide was about empowering children too. There may be points which other people want to bring up. Ashokan sir.
Yes, important areas are right.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you talked about the village. So what about the village? The other persons involved in what Menti is talking to us means about their parents. We have to interfere in that or what?
Give me an example. You use the word interfere.
Yes, maybe in some case, a student, he forgot to register for university exam. Or he is coming late, but he is blaming his parents, or they are late, or they didn't, or something like that. And do we have to ask them, or if they are not cooperating?
The parents are not cooperating.
Like in some cases, if I call, say the parent directly, I will be calling his father. He will be saying, no, you call the mother. She is taking care of everything. I will just providing the finance. That's it.
And when you call the mother, what happens?
She is not able to respond. She is again blaming the father, and it goes like that.
It's
so
a
finally,
very dysfunctional family.
Yeah. So what should I do?
Any ideas in the audience? Any thoughts? Anybody has got any suggestions for what's your name?
Ravish.
Ravish. Yeah. Any suggestions? We have these kind of families, but we do family work or family therapy or whatever. We work with them. I think it's too big for you guys to do that. So
that case,
if you have a good relationship, you can do a small piece of work with them, but not if it's a completely dysfunctional family, it's years of work, you know. So if you have a good relationship with them, you can sit and talk to them, and if they have trust and you have built a good trust, you can tell them about how important it is for the child to go for the exam and whatever. Yeah. No, what have you tried? You tell me, what have you tried so far in the situation? Sorry? You tried to convince the mother and father, it didn't work. Okay. Okay. So because you called the parents, the student said, I'll come on time in order to, okay. So it has worked already, hasn't it? Yeah. So the student has taken charge and control of his life, and yeah. Anybody else? Any questions? Was there any concept which was too difficult or anything to understand, or was it okay?
Good morning. I'm a principal of a school. So I've been interacting with teachers, students, and parents. And this question has been there, this problem has been a long time. If there are 35 children in a classroom, at least there are 5-6 different intelligences. Say we can say 5 children.
If there are 25 students in a classroom?
There are 5-6 different intelligences among maybe good at academic, maybe good at. But our teachers are compartmental experts. Hindi teacher comes, she wants all the children to score 90 and above in Hindi, mathematics. So, and even parents come and say the same. When child scores good marks in 3 subjects and 2 subjects, child is not able to score good marks. So they put pressure on that particular child. Again, principal management put pressure on that particular child. So there is a kind of, existential efforts by everyone. I need to make my children, irrespective of what I teach, they have to score 90 and above, 90 and above. So as a community or society, we are not prepared to accept, when child is good at something, let him go in that. We put a lot of pressure as a society, parent, even management says, and teachers definitely work for their own survival. And 5 children fail in Hindi, of course, maths, and they cry and they all do all these things. And we were preparing the timetable, and I was really worried. I'm worried still now. They say no, you cannot take 1 period from mathematics class. You have like 8 periods, 7 periods. So the school is almost like an academic drilling space. So how to
is this for every school in
every
Kerala?
School, every
and
school.
You're the principal
Of one school.
Of one school. So you can set the culture, can't you? You can set the tone.
I am trying to do that, but it's very it's a hard nut, very hard nut. We say and one motivation class like this, and I do again, but at the end of the year, every teacher wants all the children to do good in their own subject. So in that way, somewhere we demotivate children.
Is that what is happening because of the push, or are they performing to their best?
The children are not capable of performing in every subject, but still we are pushing and appreciation comes only to those children who are good at in all the subjects. The remaining 20 plus children out of 35 get scoldings, get criticized, insulted, cornered, And we never try to, if someone is good at sports, again comparison. How would I play? You can play there, why not you perform? Means again bringing them back. I know that this is a bigger question, but how much we can try, how far we can go, or how many years we need to know.
I think this culture it is a difference I have noticed compared to there in the UK.
Exactly,
This
yeah.
much pressure is not there.
Not there. Yeah.
Here, doctors' children will become doctors. Their children will become doctors. There, it's not. Doctor's child will be a teacher or a policeman or something.
Now, from LKG admission itself, many parents say, "This is what I want my child to be," and
IIT.
Yeah. They have already fixed 1, 2, 3, and parents, teachers have to work on that criteria. Otherwise, again, blame comes.
It is very hard unless the child takes it upon himself or herself to go swim against the tide and against all the pressures from outside, which is hard for them at that age. They may break free from the shackles at a later age, but at that young age, they may succumb to pressure. I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, if someone has achieved other than non-academic in life, that is because they have escaped or they have done it after their school education. Very few cases are in the school. Yes, there is a singer. We will support whether he fails or passes in the exam. We support. Such cases are very, very less. This question comes every time. I think how to motivate the mentors, teachers. But when we see at large, it's really difficult to do that. I know theoretically these are all the things.
You're heading the school, isn't it?
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
can set the tone and the culture for the
I'm trying. Is there any little quick or some other
quick fix?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
It's been happening. And again, we do at the end of the academic year, we again come back to square one.
I don't know whether anybody has got any wise answers to what this principal said. Okay, go on.
The new National Education Policy 2020 is coming, right? In that, I think the thing what you mentioned should be considered. And in that, we are changing the abilities of the students to their performance level. So I think when the NEP is completely implemented, it will be rectified in India.
What will be rectified?
This thing, some children have some different abilities, and they cannot do all the subjects as maths, physics, chemistry, all those things. So they cannot perform in all. So according to that, in NEP, I think I have learned something about NEP. That's why development may be happening. So in that, if it is implemented completely, this thing will be eliminated. So the student can be
Do you have pastoral care at school? Like if children have difficulties, do they have a go-to person in school? One pastoral person, a psychologist or a counselor, somebody whom they can go and talk to. Even that, even if the situation does not change, just ventilation helps, just putting it out there helps. Okay. Okay, so they also are joined the. Yeah.
Regarding teachers, the management also, the school needs 100% So as per NEP also, now if a child is weak in mathematics, he can opt something like music, dance, drama. There also the school has certain procedures. This provides a way like we have to provide a teacher.
Yeah, for the performing arts, you mean?
What I think,
Yeah.
what Alex said.
Yeah.
Now the system has a.
They can.
Yeah, sorry. Now the system has a a boundary, strict. I mean, everybody compelled to within that boundary. But the NEP gives an opportunity where you have you can choose what you want, I mean, because that freedom is coming. But now, currently, you don't have the freedom. You are compelled.
When will that be implemented?
Well, now it is just beginning in India. MEP already, I think they are trying to educate about the MEP among the schools and teachers. So hope, I mean, they will
Okay.
change that.
Okay,
That's all.
I can tell you what happens in schools there in the UK. I can tell you what happens there. Children with difficulties, dyslexia or something like that, with special needs, they get a amount of money from the government which follows them up until the age of 25. So that money is tied in with the child to help the child to buy support, whatever the support is. If they have difficulties with writing or anything for the exam, they are given a scribe. They only have to speak and they have a scribe to write. So they're given scribe, they're given extra time for the exam. If other people have 2 hours exam, they're given 2.5 hours or something. So they're given extra time, they're given a scribe. If noise, for children with autism, noise is, they are hypersensitive to noise. So they're given a quiet room to do their exams. So there is flexibility and there is customization according to the needs of the child. So it is called EHCP, Educational Healthcare Plan. And if a child has got EHCP, they've got a big amount of money which follows them till the age of 25. If you don't use the money, you lose it. Don't use it, you lose it. So some people don't spend all of the money, but depending on the needs of the child, resources are purchased to help the child. So that is one thing which is done for children with different ability or with special needs. The other thing which is done is pastoral care is there in the school. So the pastoral care, the child has got a go-to person, like a person to go to when they have difficulties, and they are sort of helped with that. Yeah. And there is a lot of awareness of mental health issues. So if they suspect the child has got something more than what teachers or parents can handle, they are referred to our service. Ours is a tertiary service. So we don't work in schools, because in schools it's primary service and secondary. Ours is a tertiary service, a 3.5 service, third tier service. So if the teachers identify that this is not just misery, it is depression not according to layman's terms, depression according to the psychiatric criteria, and it is not just feeling upset or feeling sad, or misery is different from depression per se as an illness. So if they feel it's gone beyond that, they will refer to us. So those things are there. What else about the culture? The culture itself is different there. Nobody wants to study. Actually, there are very few people here. The pressure for studying is very high, and that too it's more from the parents, not from, I think you said the teachers also. Yeah. But do your schools have to show what to say, your target or your performance of the school? So it's a feather in the cap for your school also, no? So you're also gaining as a principal if your teachers push the students to perform very high. Yeah. Some degree of push may be good, as long as it doesn't crush children, it doesn't invalidate children, and children with other abilities are also encouraged, because every time children are not intrinsically motivated. We call it internal, there's a fancy psychological term, internal locus of control and external locus of control. I'm self-driven. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. I do things because I want to do it. But some children, they need some degree of push from parents and teachers. They may not do it on their own. If it goes the other way, if the push makes them rebel, it's of no use. But if the push helps them to function, it is fine. There's no harm in it. Many parents, because of the push, the children do well. Otherwise, they may not do well. They would want to play whatever, video games or computer games. So some degree of push is fine as long as it is helpful. If it is not helpful, the parents have to realize it's not helping. It's counterproductive. If it's counterproductive, stop it. It's of no use. They've got to use some other method. I have seen parents doing that, they make the children fed up of studies. Yeah. If it is going the wrong way, they need to stop. There is no, I'm not saying that pushing is bad or anything. If it works, it works. If it's helpful, it's helpful. I'm not here to, what to say? Yeah, blame all parents. And most parents are well-meaning. They're misguided, but they're well-meaning. I never doubt their intention. The intention is good. They are misguided, but well-meaning.
Basic issue, this is a very common issue in Kerala. ഇന്ത്യയിൽ അത്രയ്ക്കുണ്ടെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. കേരളത്തിൽ മുഴുവനും കാണുന്ന ഒരു പ്രശ്നമാണത്. അതിൽ നിന്ന് കുട്ടികളെ രക്ഷിക്കേണ്ടത് നമ്മളുടെ ചുമതലയാണ്, സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളുടെ. ആസ് എ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ, യു ഹാവ് എ വെരി ഗുഡ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റി ദർ, ബിക്കോസ് ഐ നോ ദ മാനേജ്മെന്റ്. അവർക്ക് നല്ല കാഴ്ചപ്പാടുള്ളവരാണ്. They are visionaries are there in this management. അപ്പോൾ you need to present this issue at least ആ സ്കൂളെങ്കിലും ഒരു മോഡലായിട്ട് വളർത്തിയെടുക്കാൻ പറ്റും. കുട്ടികൾ +2 പാസ്സാവണം എന്നുള്ള നിർബന്ധമാണ്. അവർ പാസ്സായിരിക്കണം. പക്ഷെ അതേ സമയത്ത് തന്നെ അവർക്ക് ഫോക്കസ് അവരെ അതേ ഏരിയയാണ് സ്പെഷ്യലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ദാറ്റ് ഇൻ നോട്ട് ബി എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ്, മെഡിസിൻ, ഓർ അക്കൗണ്ടൻസി, ഓർ എനിത്തിങ്. ഇറ്റ് കുഡ് ബി സ്പോർട്സ് ഓർ മ്യൂസിക് ഓർ എനിത്തിങ്. അല്ലാതെ നമ്മൾ എൻകറേജ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഇറ്റ്സ് ആൻ എക്സലന്റ് ക്യാമ്പസ് ആൻഡ് യു ഹാവ് എ ഗ്രേറ്റ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റി. I appreciate you that you listen. It is not only in schools, even in engineering colleges we see a lot of pressure is there. Recently we faced a big issue with the KTU University because pass percentage is a must. Audit we need to honor. There is audit procedures for engineering colleges right now. It is poorer than the school system that the government has introduced in universities. Therefore, but we are over focused in the children, and the children are getting crushed. Actually, we are beyond our limits. We need to understand that. And the parents are getting more and more anxious. And the parents need more counseling and more education in this field. And let us take the lead, and we are ready to support you in areas through wherever you have difficulties with the different discussion. Thank you.
I can see that, yeah. But the good thing is, you as a principal, you're the head of the institution. You as a principal can feel it. So that's a starting point. It's good that you think differently. That's a starting point. Now you can implement slowly, seep it in here.
We need to have some fancy words. So like career, something which makes them with words against parents and teachers. Now career is the one.
And there are only 2 things Keralites see: engineering and medicine. They don't see anything else. Yeah.
Other than that, we give examples. We need one.
But I think parents come from a position of fear. They fear that everybody can't become Yeshudas. Everybody can't become Sachin Tendulkar. Yeah.
We both out of fear, not out of confidence.
Yeah.
We both out of fear, not out of enthusiasm. This is, I feel every day when I tell something, no, not to the point. It comes from there. This is what happens. This happens. What you try a routine thing, and you fail there, they are okay. But try a different thing, then fail.
If my parents had the confidence, I would have been an artist today, not a doctor. So out of fear, I became a doctor. I'm not regretting it, but any other questions? Yes, please.
Maybe I don't know if I got it wrong, but you mentioned about a sleeper effect. Like we can plant seeds, right? And it will be in their life throughout. But we also mentioned about
nagging.
That may bring.
So how to strike the balance between the two?
Yeah, and to like maybe just to quote an example, like maybe you have a student who is actually capable, and we meet him during the mentoring sessions, and we tell him, and he listens to it very well. He understands. He even gets motivated from what we say, and he promises that he'll keep justice. But next day he's back to the
so
same.
Have you asked
so like how often? What is the frequency? Like we can keep on.
No, this is not reminder which is needed. You have to check out with him what is coming in the way, what is the hurdle which stops him from understanding and wanting to do it and not doing it. There is a difference between what we call it. Wait a minute, the word will come to me. So he has understood it. He wants to do it. So now you have to ask him the question. You have understood what I have said. You have comprehended and you want to do it. What is stopping you from implementing it? What's coming in the way? What is the hurdle? Sometimes we ourselves are our worst enemies, I'll do it tomorrow. You see, you can take a horse to the water, you cannot make it drink. So there is only so much you can do. You see, I came into child psychiatry. I was very idealistic at the time. I thought I could change the world and nip it everything in the bud. But now I'm realistic. I know what I can do and what I can't do. So you have tried your best. And if that person, it's an adult, isn't it? The person is over 18. They're an adult. So there's only so much you can do. The person may have regrets in future saying, Akhila, no? Akhila teacher told me and I didn't listen to it at that time. The penny may drop later on in life, not when you want it to. Yeah. Should, yeah.
How do we know whether the problem is mental or physical?
Sorry?
Mental or physical? How do we know a problem exists with a child?
Whether it's mental or physical.
Physical.
Give me the context, please. Means what are you? Give me an example.
Might be inconsistent performances, aggressive behavior, and what they.
So what physical are you thinking that in that? Means when you ask whether it's mental or physical, what did you mean by physical?
Physical in the sense whether any physical illness which is troubling them, or because of which they are behaving indifferent, or they have other mental.
Yeah.
So how do we know that?
This is my area, in the sense these are the kind of children which get referred to us to assess what is happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the counseling won't help. No, sometimes we need to help them in other way.
Maybe if there is some problems at home and if that gets fixed, we don't know what the problem is which is causing the young person to not be able to perform. Yeah, this would need assessment and delving into the history of the child. If the child has confidence in you, the child may come and tell you what's happening.
Okay.
May say something, whatever, family problems or whatever, concentration problems or. Yeah. If this little bit of history which you've given me, if it comes to me, I have so many differential diagnoses going through my head. Is the person got learning difficulty? Is the person in a difficult family environment? Is there concentration difficulties because of whatever. All those kind of things come to mind. Is there abuse? All sorts.
Yes.
But I will not be able to give one answer without.
Yes, I understand. Yes.
But from what you told me, it doesn't sound like a physical problem. It sounds more like a emotional mental issue.
Mental problem. Okay.
Have we finished for the day? If we have finished, thank you to everybody for sitting through the whole lecture and putting up with my 1.25 hour of talk. And it's a privilege to be invited. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening words. It was a really great to hear from you. Now, I invite Ashogan sir, a chief patron, and executive director Suresh Lal sir, and trustee executive Mr. Tilagan KK to give the memento to Dr. Seena Devaki. Now, to give away the vote of thanks, I invite Ms. Akhila, the coordinator of the program.
Thank you. A warm good afternoon to one and all. So, respected dignitaries, no, you like feeling thankfulness and then not expressing it is like you have a present in your hand, like you have wrapped it, but you're not presenting it. So, I take this opportunity to express whatever all the gratitude that is in my heart on behalf of the whole VSEC team. So, firstly, I don't know, like we are how delighted and thankful to have you, Dr. Seena Devaki ma'am, with us today. You were mentioning your busy schedule, so really happy to have with us you here in spite of busy schedule. And it was I personally enjoyed the session very much. So it was like we did got to know a lot of new terms as well, like Johari window ripple effect, sleeper effect. It was really, and we had a nice question answer session as well. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your precious time. And now I would like to thank our chief patron, Engineer P.K. Ashokan sir, and our executive director, Suresh Lal sir, our executive committee member, Tilagan sir, and our administrative director, Unirajan sir. Thank you everyone for your presence and the support. And in absence of the principal, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Saji CB. I would like to thank all the HODs, our external participants, internal participants. We do have a number of participants who are, who have joined the session online as well. And thanks to all the faculty members who have joined here, to my student volunteers, everybody, thanks a lot. And as you know, this program was planned on a very short notice. So it's not easy to, and we are having a offline program after a long gap of 2 years. So we know we needed a bird's eye for for each detail to detail. So I wish to thank my whole team of VSEC, including all headed by Dr. Siju Casey. So the whole VSEC team, all the faculty members who are involved in the team, as well as my student volunteers. Thank you everyone. Okay, sir, I invite Mrs. Tilagan KK sir to speak a few words.
പ്രിൻസിപ്പൾ ഇവിടെ നിങ്ങളെ വെൽക്കം ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞ രണ്ട് ഇതുണ്ടല്ലോ, എനിക്ക് റിയലി ടച്ചിങ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഒന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അർജുനെ കാണിച്ചു തന്നു, ഒന്ന് ഹനുമാനെ കാണിച്ചു തന്നു. രണ്ട് സൈഡിലും കൊടുത്ത രണ്ട് ഉപദേശം. ഞാനിപ്പോ നേരത്തെ ഇവിടെ സാറ് കുട്ടികളെ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യണ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഒക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പൊ എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയ രണ്ട് കാര്യമുണ്ട്. ഒന്ന്, ഒരു റിച്വലാണ്, നിങ്ങളുടെ ധർമ്മമാണ്, യു മസ്റ്റ് ഡു ഇറ്റ്. അവിടെ നിങ്ങൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ ചൂരൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ടി വരും. മറ്റൊന്ന്, അവരുടെ പാഷൻ, അവരുടെ എബിലിറ്റി എന്താണെന്നുള്ള ഹനുമാനെ കാണിച്ചു കൊടുത്ത് ഹനുമാനെ മോട്ടിവേറ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ആ പാഷൻ. അപ്പൊ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാല് ഒരു കുട്ടിയുടെ പാഷൻ എന്താണെന്ന് തിരിച്ചറിയുന്നത് മെന്റേഴ്സിന്റെ ഡ്യൂട്ടിയാണ്. അതേസമയം അവരുടെ റീച്വലായിട്ട് അവരുടെ ധർമ്മമാണ് ഈ അക്കാഡമിക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ കടന്നു പോവുക എന്നുള്ളത്. ആ സിലബസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് തരുന്ന ഫ്രെയിം വർക്കിൽ കൂടെ കടന്നു പോവുക എന്നുള്ളത്. അത് നിങ്ങൾ രണ്ടും ബാലൻസ് ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ആ ധർമ്മം, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് യുവർ ഡ്യൂട്ടി. അത് നമ്മൾ പറയില്ലേ, നമ്മളെ ചെറുപ്പത്തിൽ അച്ഛനും മാഡം തന്നെ പറഞ്ഞു, പാരൻസിന്റെ കമ്പൽഷൻ കൊണ്ട് ഷീ ബിക്കേം ദ ഡോക്ടർ. പക്ഷെ അതേസമയം ആ പാഷനാണ് ഇപ്പൊ ഇന്ന് ഡോക്ടറെ വേറെ ലെവലിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുപോയത്. അതാ പാഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കുട്ടികളിൽ ആ തിരിച്ചറിവ്, നിങ്ങളുടെ ധർമ്മമാണ് ഈ അക്കാഡമിക് 10ഉം 12ഉം അക്കാഡമിക് ടു ഡു വെൽ ആൻഡ് പാസ്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് യുവർ ഡ്യൂട്ടി. നമ്മൾ പറയില്ല, ചെറുപ്പത്തിൽ അമ്മയും അച്ഛനും നമ്മളെ നിർബന്ധിച്ച് പല്ല് തേക്കാൻ പഠിപ്പിച്ചത് കൊണ്ടാണ് ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ കൂട്ടായി വന്നിരിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. അത് റീച്വലായിട്ട് നമ്മളെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെയാണ് നമ്മുടെ അക്കാഡമിക്. പക്ഷെ അതേസമയം അവരിലുള്ള പാഷനെ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്ത് ഒപ്പം പുഷ് ചെയ്യാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കഴിയണം മെന്റേഴ്സ് എന്ന നിലയ്ക്ക്. ഈ രണ്ടും ബാലൻസ് ചെയ്താൽ യു വിൽ ഗെറ്റ്. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പണ്ട് പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്റർ കുട്ടികളോട് ചോദിച്ചു, കുട്ടികൾ ചോദിച്ചു, സർ വാട്ട് യു വിഷ്ഡ് ടു ബിക്കം? പറഞ്ഞു, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് മൈ വാട്ട് ഐ വിഷ് ടു ബിക്കം, whatever it is, but what I could do, what I could deliver, I am putting my 100 plus 10%. You keep doing the things with a passion, whatever the area, it will take you wherever you want to. It will take you to your destination. Don't worry about what you want to become. അത് നമ്മൾ ജനറലി പറയുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഈ ബാലൻസിങ് ആക്ട് മെന്റേഴ്സിന്റെ സൈഡിൽ നിന്നുണ്ടായാൽ definitely we can produce the gem of the jewelers for the future. That's all what I have to say. Thank you for listening me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we disperse, I'd like to just say 2-3 things. First thing is that before we move on to the lunch venue, we have a photo session, group photo session. So the group photo session is arranged at the main lobby. So I request all the participants to reach to the main lobby first for the photo session. And after the photo session, we'll move on to the lunch venue, and the lunch is arranged in the first floor of the auditorium. So please join for the photo session as well as the lunch. And thank you for joining us. And please make sure that a feedback link for all those registered participants and all those who have registered today, a feedback link will be sent to your WhatsApp number. Please make sure that you fill the feedback form, and your e-certificate will be received within 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you.